but I just started to visualize being a strong biker. Like, what would I need to do to get to a place where I could bike for 90K, which at minimum, even in my own mind, was going to be 3 hours. And that's a tight ride. But over the time, it just went from setting this goal to really believing that I'd already crossed it before I did it. So I got up when I may not want to. I trained more than I ever have. And if somebody would have said, you have time to work out a couple hours a day, or on the weekends are big, right? Yeah. I would have said, no, like I can hardly find time right now to fit on the laundry and the dishes. Let's be honest. Yeah. But what it was it made me really realize when you lock into that goal, and if it's something you want, like I wanted it, then you do start to recognize what are you doing in your day that's not moving the needle forward, and what's not moving the needle forward. And I just stopped doing those things and then started to do things that were going to move the needle forward. So I tell you, it taught me a lot between the difference of goal setting and goal achievement. And I'll just pause there for a second because I know I could go on about it, but like it was more than I thought. It was about becoming the journey. The day before, I was like oddly calm because I was like, I don't know if I should be excited, nervous, a little bit about both, but neither of those, especially if I was worried about it, was going to help me. So I was like, you prepared for this. This is where you just got to trust the process. Trust it. Wake up and then just freaking go. And so that's what I did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because I, when I hear you, it makes me think about when I was signing up for my first marathon, and someone asked me, what made you decide to do a marathon? And I just looked at them and said, well, I've done halves. What's next? Right. But what I realized, like you said, is once you make that commitment, once I signed that I was doing and I registered and I invested, I considered it done in my mind.
Yeah.
Right. And like you said, people are saying, well, until you get the medal and you cross the line, it's not there. But in my mind, it was already done. I have to just do the work to get me across the line to get that medal. But in my mind, it was just like, what? It's going to be finished. Like everything I sign up for, I commit to, I finish what I start. So it was a given for me.
Yeah, it's like part of your identity, right? Almost even. And that was mine. Like I had identified as an athlete, being that I was, and even those times where I wasn't swimming anymore, I mean, I was always involved. And similar to you, although I'd never done a marathon, so hats off to you. I've done I don't know, probably 7 or 8 halves. And I never wanted to do a marathon myself. That I like running, but I just didn't want to. But then like the variety of a long triathlon really excited me, right? So it's exactly what you're saying. I think it's this commitment, but a lot of us say, well, I've made a decision, but if you waver from it, then it's not really like a decision. I think we have to start realizing is saying the opposite is dead. Like there's no other thing. Mm-hmm. And then I started to live like you did from the goal achieved, that I've already committed it. So what does that mean? How would I show up? Yeah. When my alarm went off and I didn't want to wake up, I'd be like, does the woman that crosses the finish line in the time that you want sleep in? No. Well, then you get up, you get uncomfortable, you push to the edge. Yeah. But like, that's where I was saying, it taught me a lot because I've had other goals that I thought I was quote, quote, committed to, or had made a decision. And it's like, I'm committed to it until that part of discomfort. And then lots of times, then I'll let that old voice come in. Where this one taught me so much more, because even when that old voice came in, I was like, get out. Like, get out. You're not even listening to that. You are already done. So it started me reflecting into my own journeys of, why am I willing to say no right now to the doubt and the fear and the worry when other times I'm not? And then I started to recognize that because some of those goals that I've set, if they're not truly what my desire is, then if my why is not bigger than my why not, then the why not's going to win. So it's really helped me to like, hey, if you don't have that unwavering commitment that, Debra just mentioned about with the decision, then I think that's an opportunity for us to really tune in to say, do I want this because I think that it'll make me worthy? Do I want this because I think other people want it for me? Do I want it for what? Or is this really what I want? Because when you want it, at least in my experience, then I was locked in and all I had to do was adopt the identity of someone who's already finished it.
Yeah. And you know what I really love, like when you talked about goal setting versus goal achievement, and we talk about this commitment, that identity piece is huge. And the one thing that you said, would a person who has achieved this stay in bed and say, yeah, this is what this person would do? And I think that's where we lose sight of the goals and the dreams that we have, because we don't think from the place of already achieving it. We don't think of the person who has achieved it, which is demonstrating that it's capable for us as well. There's that capacity. You know, I was watching someone who recently competed in a fitness competition, and I've been following them for a while, but it was interesting because she always approaches things from, who am I and what do I have to, who do I have to be to achieve that? Would this person do this? Would I go binge on a whole bunch of banana splits if my goal is to do this? Or would I stay up late partying if my goal is to be up in the morning to go do a presentation? Like all of these kind of things. I'm just giving some basic examples, and I'm sure, Stacey, you have more as well, but I want you to just dive into a little bit more of that identity piece of coming from the place of achievement and being that person.
I love this conversation because I think there's so many of us, especially Gen X, we've been trained to look at our present results to determine what we're capable of. But we have to realize that our present results are only a lag of yesterday's thinking. And if we could get what we want, being the person who we are, we'd already have it. So when you have a dream or a goal that's different and bigger than what you know, you don't just hope and wish for it. You can't just keep doing the same thing and or using willpower, right? Because some people just say, I'm just going to like work really hard to get that. But willpower dies out. Identity sets the thermostat for the gauge of your life. So if we start to really think, I just get so jazzed on this conversation. So I'm just going to like
I love
hit it for a second, because when you really start to think about this, then you know the operations and the laws of thought, and is that we're spiritual beings. The essence of us is for further growth and expansion. And intellectually, many of us know that. We'll say, yes. Yeah, I know that. Okay, well, so then you believe you're limitless. Yes. Okay. Well, then if that is true, then in order to create more, the first thing in this thing that we should all be working on each and every day is the way that we see ourselves. Because if in order to get more, we've got to level up our identity with it. And you'll see this, like, let's talk about some of the teams that we've coached. Maybe it's a sales organization, and then you come in and you get them excited about something and they go out that day and they all sell. But if they're just trying to continue to like willpower that without consistently reevaluating their beliefs of why I do something, why I don't do something, why I think something, why I don't think something, then eventually that bar of how many sales they hit goes back to that median where they were.
Right.
Right. We see this. And same if somebody has a shitty month and their sales drop. Over time, it will go back up. But it'll always be to there, because our identity, the way that we see ourselves inside, determines what we'll achieve. So that's why, to your point, it is so important to see yourself already at the goal. So we don't work to the goal, we work from it. And we say, what would the qualities, the behaviors, the standards, the disciplines, the decisions of somebody with my goal make? And I don't wait to have it. I act and I be it now. So it's be, do, have. And I think a lot of us were taught that, you know, I'll act like the athlete once I cross the finish line. Well, then it's not a matter of commitment. Let's take it one more decision. It's a matter of belief. Because you can believe something intellectually, but if your identity, which lies in your subconscious mind, hasn't leveled up to it, then it won't be sustainable. You don't realize how you've achieved it.
And this is where it comes to, you know, when I think about what you're saying is, intellectually we get it. And I've been there.
Yeah.
And you've been there. but we've come to a place where we had to learn how to embody it, that we live it every single day. And that identity piece, as you know, Stacey, we've talked about, I developed an eye condition post-COVID, and I went and did a sprint triathlon. There was a part of me who didn't think I would ever be competing ever again. And I committed, and I knew I was going to finish. I just didn't know what it would look like. And when I finished the bike portion, the part that I was so worried about, I was like, we're done. We're almost there. Like in my head, I was like, we're done. Like, because I conquered the doubt and I knew I still had to run. But in my mind, I got it. I got this, right? And it took me until getting off that bike. Like I was in tears, choking back tears, like, oh my gosh, what I thought was not possible. And I know better, right?
Yeah.
But because this eye condition, and like for you, like we all have things in our life that throw us off. And I equate it to an earthquake or someone taking the tablecloth, like the magician takes the tablecloth off the table. Yeah, everything doesn't stay on the table. Everything comes off. And how are you getting your footing back? Right. And that was doing this triathlon. It was about getting my feet planted back on the ground in the belief and identity of who I was, who I believed myself to be, the achiever. But it took me to do that to say, oh, wow, now, Debra, you have no excuses. But it reminded me of, well, who am I? Like it takes you back to who are you, going back to your basics of who you are. And that identity piece of saying, yeah, I am a triathlete. Whoever told me I wasn't, right?
That's right.
And a friend of mine did her first one with me. And I'm so proud of her for doing it. And I looked at her and I said, look, you're a triathlete now. And she's like, no. I said, you did 3 disciplines back to back. You are officially a triathlete, and it was most incredible. And as you mentioned to me earlier, before we started this call, the weather, it poured that day, and you got skinny tires and slicks and you're thinking, I better not wipe out because I will not finish because of injury. But nowhere in my mind did I think of injury. All I thought of is, this is going to be cold. And then I had hired someone to document this, and they said, isn't this a metaphor for what you've just gone through? And that piece and reminding me of that commitment when I committed to things of that's who I am. That's just part of who I am when you commit. And this is why, Stacey, I know you can take this and take it further. So dive in.
Well, no, I just 100%. I think the biggest lie that we sometimes tell ourselves, and we don't mean to, is to say that I'm committed. But the only way you're truly committed is when you do the thing that scares you the most. You can't think your way into confidence, and you can't think your way into having a higher identity. The action breeds the confidence. The action shows it. So even if you, let's say, did do it, and we're biking and something did happen. I mean, you still have that thing of, you know what, I got on it, I'm doing it, that happened, I'm going to go again. But a lot of people, if they fall down, then they say, oh, wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And like literally that quote of like, whether you think you can or you think you can is always my favorite because it's the truth. So it's not that this was like something outside of you. Like we were blessed with the faculties of imagination, perception, intuition, will, reason, memory to create from the inside out. But nobody